Hi everybody, Matt Geary for the Geek Pride cast on this Thursday evening. I'm joined with less geeks this week, but by all means, the best of the lots. We've got John Joe Cosgrove.
Good evening, everyone.
And Mark Genty!
Hey!
What up, gentlemen? What you been up to?
General geeking out, I guess. Same as every week.
Like examples, like what? What have you been up to?
I've been I've been doing a little bit of studying in terms of the Marvel comic book, as I've been reading through some of my Christmas presents, and one of the best reads I've been going through is the Jessica Jones Alias books, and I tell you what, they are brilliant, and it's getting me excited now for season 2 of Jessica Jones on Netflix.
When's that coming out?
It's the 8th of March, I think. It's the first or second Friday of March. I know that much.
Right. Okay. All right.
So not 9th of March. Sorry, 9th of March. It's coming on.
And we'll probably talk about Black Flash later on. But
Black
before
Flash
that,
or Black Lightning?
Black Lightning.
Black Flash.
Wait,
It
there
is
should be
basically
there
Flash.
should be a Black Flash. Yeah, Black Lightning.
There
What
is
am I talking
a Black
There
Flash.
is a Black Flash.
There is a Black
Yeah,
Flash. There is
That's
definitely.
what reverse, not reverse Flash. That's what Zoom turns into.
No, isn't the Black Flash the sort of like death version?
Pretty much, but in the TV show, that's what they turn Zoom into. The Black Flash.
Right, I see. Okay, Mark, what are you being up? What are you up to at this moment, and what have you been up to?
I am mostly painting miniatures at the moment because being as you are a 40k gamer, I've been cursed with the legions of grey, and I'm doing a demo game
crack.
for my. Exactly, I'm doing a demo game with my club at a modelling exhibition in about 2.5 weeks. So I've had to start frantically painting stuff up.
I find that the best way for you to get through your backlog, your pile of shame that every wargamer has, if you collect miniatures and you like making them and stuff, you will have a huge pile of sprues that or boxes of things that you've bought with all the intention of making and painting that will sit there for years and not do. So I find the best way to get doing something is to force yourself to do stuff. So yeah. I enter a competition every month. Now, I'm not a massive tourney person. I generally have sort of kind of quite mixed lists that don't do very well. Like I've become second before in 1 out of 30 or 60, I think it was. And I've had some sort of mid-ranking things, but generally that's where I am, in the middle. Mm-hmm. But forcing myself to do tournaments and forcing myself to play games because they have a specific sort of painting level. It doesn't have to be brilliant, but you have to have a specific amount of colors on there to play. Yeah. It forces me to actually do something. So I've got one coming up next month, one coming up in March as well. So yeah, that'll help me do some painting. What is it you're painting at the minute anyway?
Just a whole bunch of Primaris Marines for my Crimson Fists.
Ah, Crimson Fists, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Been kind of hooked ever since I read the Rinnsworld Space Marine Battles book.
Right, okay, cool.
Which was not long after I got back into it, because I kind of had about 10, 11 years off.
Yeah, I think everybody does. I was the same.
Yeah.
You just sort of kind of come back into it. So what edition did you come back in for?
I came in at start of 5th edition.
Oh, right, okay.
So I skipped out at the end of 2nd or thereabouts, and came back about 3 editions later, just as 5th edition was being launched.
Yeah, I came out during 2nd or 3rd, I think, and then came back at the tail end of 5. Then went into 6, then to 6.5, then 7.
7.
And then now 8, which is completely overhauled everything, and it's kind of weird, because it's like, initially I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this, but they've simplified it quite a lot.
I must admit, I kind of fell out of love with it for a little bit between over sort of 6.5, 7th.
Yeah,
and I was playing a lot more X-Wing and stuff like that at the time, but I've kind of got back into it a bit more now, which is a good job because I had such a huge pile of boxes between this and my Death Watch.
Well, you see, this is it, isn't it? You know, there's so many armies and stuff, and I have all kinds. Like, I'm generally Imperium, but like you can maybe see, I don't know if you can see, but there's like knights up. I've got like 4 knights. I'm a massive Space Wolves player, so I've got loads of Space Wolves. I'm currently doing some Primera Space Wolves at the minute, waiting for the codex to drop so I can get Lehman Russ back. He's got to come back.
Not long.
That's going to happen. It's got to happen. They'd be lose. I would be so upset, and they'd be like seriously losing out on a trick if they didn't bring him back. I've got.
See, I reckon they're going to have Bjorn come back, and it turn out that the one that they've had all the time has been like 1,000 Suns guy, or something like that, just for the sheer amusement value of all of you Space Wolves players like screaming and losing your shit.
You shut your mouth. That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. But. Yeah, everybody's like talking about how he's going to come back evil and shit. I was like, no, he's not. It's not going to happen. But yeah, so I've got some Custodes I'm making as well because I quite like the look of the Custodes. I've got a guard army. I've got some Xenos armies and stuff. But I don't play them. They're just for other people to play, so I can stomp them into the ground. So yeah. Yeah, I'm an Imperial player through and through. In fact, people won't, you won't be able to see it, but people at home will be able to see it. I've got my Emperor T-shirt on right now. Venerate the Emperor and all that gumph. Yeah. So let's look at some. As always, sorry. If you want to jump in, have a chat, ask some questions, just randomly say some stuff, then we should be able to hear you or in your comments on Facebook, on Twitch, and on YouTube. I've got a restream chat thing up here, so hopefully I'll be able to see the Twitch and the YouTube from there. And then I got my Facebook open, so I should be able to see all the Facebook chats. And as if by magic, podcast regular, whose name nobody can pronounce, so we'll just call him Daniel. Daniel P says, let's see what we got here. Gary Oldman to win Best Actor in the Oscars, ? Looking forward to this week's version of my surname. Yeah, you're just Daniel P at the minute because I'm not going to even attempt your second name. Right, I tell you what, Daniel P, Daniel Pre-Havisbisky, you're going to send us an audio message, yeah? You're going to send it to either Matt at geek-pride.co.uk or in the messages in Geek Pride or content at geek-pride.co.uk, and you're going to send us a voice message of how to say your frickin' name so we can get it properly. All right, there we go.
You see, I'd go with Perovsky personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think Perovsky's possibly, but it might be Perorosky. I don't know. You never know with these things.
Yeah.
And
there could be a guttural in there somewhere, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like kind of like those Irish names you get, and you're just like, I'm not sure if I meant to be able to say it like that or not. So like Siobhan is pronounced, is spelt Sibohan, and Neve is spelt strangely and stuff like that.
Ashlyn, of course.
Yeah.
I silvered the answer.
But there you go. Okay, so right, so Oscars. So it's been mentioned Oscars. I haven't seen Darkest Star yet. The Darkest Star yet.
It's worth it.
I really want to see it. They're an awesome band, by the way. If you're into heavy metal, then
I do love Darkest Hour.
The Darkest Star.
A few years ago when they supported Machine Head. And
they're amazing. They are
bloody.
They're by far one of my favoritist bands. They've got a really good edge of heavy, but they've got a really good sort of like mellow edge to them as well. So you get some really thrashy, amazing stuff, but then you'll have these glorious sort of mellow interludes. So it's amazing. I love them. Like they have an instrumental from the Sadist Nation, which is I think the album, and it's called Veritas Aquitas. It's an instrumental, and it is pure. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I can listen to that song over and over and over again. It's about 12 minutes long, and it starts off heavy, and then it sort of kind of ebbs and flows, builds crescendos a bit, then it sort of kind of goes into this lovely sort of kind of mellow interlude, then it builds, and then it hits you with this mountaintop sort of fucking lead, like seriously on the top of a mountain, hair blowing in the wind, sort of slash type lead. Oh, I love it. Gives me goosebumps every time. Love that song. Veritas Aquitas. Check it out. Yeah, I think
so you like it then, yeah?
Yeah, I love that song. Love it. I've actually said if I ever die and people are have to like carry my ass out in a coffin or something, I'm not really fussed, to be honest. Being an atheist, it doesn't really matter. But if I'm stuck in a coffin or something, then I want to have the lead part, just sort of as it builds up, because it's got this amazing sort of piano-y bit, and it builds and builds and builds, and just before I'm like leaving for that lead part to kick in, I'll be like, wow, I'm like, yeah. Obviously, I'll be dead and I won't know, but still, everybody else will be rocking, so it'll be okay.
So yeah, nominations. I thought this was quite bad. Wonder Woman did not get a single nomination for anything. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it should have been nominated for Best Picture. I don't think that at all. But for Patty Jenkins, she should have at least got a nod for Best Director. And possibly Gal Gadot, because not only did she do a fantastic performance in that film, but if we just say, like a few months ago before Justice League came out, she single-handedly saved the DC Extended Universe. I mean, it's back in the crap now after Justice League, but it was a great movie. And apart from the last 15 minutes when it all goes a little bit Batman v Superman-ish, it was brilliant. And one more mention just need to make about comic book. Logan has been nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, and that is a great move.
And Logan is currently winning our Best of 2017 films survey, which is out. If you check on our Facebook, there's a link there for the Best of 2017. I think Logan's there. Wonder Woman is third. Second is Thor Ragnarok, from what I understand. Some surprises in there. Actually, some very surprising nominations, or lack of certain nominations. So there's certain things in there you would expect to be there, and other things that are there and just aren't getting voted for. So there you go, people. Anyway, so what else have we got nomination wise in the Oscars?
I've got the list up. There is some good choices. In the best film category, Best Picture, you've got Call Me By Your Name, which I hadn't actually heard of until the other day when they announced it. Darkest Hour, which is the Winston Churchill film.
Dunkirk. The post up there. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, the post. So yeah, it's post. Get Out, which I'm still needing to watch, but I've been told it's a great movie.
It's really good. Yep, enjoyed that.
Then we have Lady Bird, which is the I can never say her name right. Swazi Ronan, the Irish actress.
No idea.
Was she Swiss show? So, anyway, she's in it. Apparently one of the best reviewed films of 2017. Phantom Thread, supposedly the final film of Daniel Day-Lewis.
Okay.
The Post, which has been mentioned. The Shape of Water, which is the new Guillermo del Toro film, which is supposed to be freaky but artistic.
She falls in love with a water beast of some sort.
Yep. We've all been there, guys. Come on.
Is this just going to turn into fucking hentai tentacle porn or something? Like...
Well, it is Guillermo del Toro. What do you expect?
And then the final one, which I do want to really see this film, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And from the trailers, it looks really funny, and I'd love to actually watch this film very soon.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I've just got I've got a backlog of films I want to go see. And The Darkest Hour, which I think Gary Oldman's probably going to get Best Actor for, to be honest, from what I've heard. Does look pretty good. I love Dunkirk. I love old school war films, to be honest. Especially World War II ones and stuff. As much as I feel bad, because I'm sure the Germans are kind of going, "Fuck's sake, guys, come on! It was a long time ago. Get over it."
Again with this shit. Yeah.
It's true, because it's like Americans and stuff. They've always got the War of Independence or the Revolution sort of films and stuff, and it's like, oh, come on, guys, it was 200 years ago. Get over it. It's just it's just one of the things that keeps coming up, and you're just like, all right, it's fine, we'll be the punching bags for a while. So
and we were talking about about Gary Oldman possibly winning the Oscar. Do you know he's only ever been nominated for an Oscar once before? Can you guess what that film was?
It's not gonna be like Sid and Nancy or something stupid like that, is it?
No, it's 2012 was when he got nominated.
Batman.
Oh, if only. No, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, that was quite an impressive performance.
That was a good film. I did enjoy that film. But personally, if I was going to give him an Oscar for any film, It sounds. You might think it's cheesy, but I think Dracula. He was fantastic in Dracula.
Amazing. But the thing is, I don't think Gary Oldman. He tends to not be in bad films. There's a very small niche of people or actors even who are in films, and every single one of them is gold. And I think he's one of them. I don't think I've ever seen a bad film with him in it. I'm sure there may be some, but I haven't seen him in any. It's like Tom Hanks. Name me one bad Tom Hanks film.
Sully. That is a bad film.
Oh no!
I was bored by that film. I honestly felt bored watching that. I'm just trying to think. He's in. I'm gonna have to have a look about the Tom Hanks films.
Nothing. Pretty much.
I just named one.
I know. No, Sully. I'm not gonna. No, that's not a bad film. It's like a really bad film.
You'll find it so difficult to defend it because your voice keeps dropping. No.
But seriously,
Cloud Atlas. That was a boring film. That was a dreary film to say the least.
That wasn't really a film. It was more of a film school project that someone actually gave an ad budget to.
Yeah, you've got Mal.
What? You got Mal's quality. It's old school rom com, man. You know,
quality chick flick. You know.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta go for that. You know, gotta love a Tom Hanks rom com.
Although I will say, of the recent films, I think his best one is Captain Phillips.
I actually haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen it. And I'm a big Tom Hanks fan. I've seen most of his films, but yeah, I haven't seen it.
You should definitely catch the post then.
Yeah.
We caught that at the weekend, and that was very, very good.
Okay. All right. So, do you think there's going to be any sort of big upsets for the Oscars this year?
You mean like they're going to read out the wrong Best Picture again?
Well, yeah, there you go.
I have this feeling that it's going to take a lot to top that, and I really hope that it's going to be someone's going to do it. Someone's going to just cock it up.
You've got intruders in your house. Your dogs sort of.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
They're trying to be silenced. They're trying to be silenced.
Second.
Trust me, I tell you, if you had someone break through the door, they wouldn't even touch them. But if they see someone they like, they go crazy at them.
Rick Ward, Meg, says that the last Dan Brown one was bad. I haven't seen it, so I know.
Oh, Inferno. Oh, that was a painful watch. Don't get me wrong, some good acting in it, but a just terrible film. And this is the man who's bringing us Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, Ron Howard, yeah. Well, we'll see if the Fawn sort of kind of comes in and starts going, "Hey."
Can I just say, I hope I'm not the only one who's very worried about this film. That we're apparently 4 months away from it being released. There's been no trailer, no real official shots released of it, and the film basically got about 75% remade under a new director.
Well, it's like what's it called? It's like Rogue One. It was completely reshot, and it had very little exposure for ages. And it is the best Star Wars film yet.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Silence.
We keep going for it. It's not.
It is. We're not talking about Star Wars again today because Per Julieta literally did not talk at all last week because all of us talking about Star Wars.
I was going to mention one thing about Star Wars, but we'll give it to that later. It's a very quick thing.
Sorry. Okay, then go on then. But before we move on,
yeah, because we know that there's going to be the hype now leading up to Solo and the upcoming DVD and Blu-ray releases for Last Jedi, but there's already been details of the deleted scenes from Last Jedi leaking online.
Really?
Yeah, there is. I don't know what the scenes exactly entail because I want to wait until they're officially released on the DVD so I can actually sit down and go through them all. But yeah, apparently there are scenes coming up, including more scenes between Rey and Luke, and potentially, from one little tip that I saw, there is apparently a scene with Leia at Han Solo's funeral.
Interesting.
Which is in the novelization.
Okay. So does she fly in with her umbrella and sort of?
Yeah. You know, she flies the coffin in itself,
and then gives everybody cough syrup and then sort of takes shit out of her bag, and fucking seriously, man, I just can't get past I can't get past it. It's just like, what the fuck was that? What was that? Seriously? Is this the swan song for, the ladies' princess? For our princess? Carrie Fisher, no longer here. Okay, we're just gonna fucking make you bloody Mary Poppins.
Yeah, but you got to think that was done before she died. That was all decided before she passed away.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
Oh, God, could you imagine just Yondu flying through the film?
Fucking
Get
hell,
that man a fin.
Yeah. Oh, all right, okay. We'll move on from Star Wars because we're not going to obviously talk about it anymore.
That was it. That was the only thing I had on it.
Okay. All right. So we've got our survey at the minute. We've got our survey going, which will end at the end of the month. So if you haven't voted, make sure you do. And it's for the best of 2017, and there's one question for the worst. And currently, Donald Trump's winning with like 50%, and Logan Paul's got like 35%, and then EA. I think so. Those are the three main contenders at this moment in time for the worst. People have voted, but okay. What is your best? We'll go through. So, best game, AAA game for 2017.
For me, I would have to say Breath of the Wild.
That's currently winning. Breath of the Wild is currently winning, which is really weird because Breath of the Wild is winning the best game, but the Nintendo is barely registering on best console. So it's like, it's the best game, but people aren't even like bothered about the console. It's all about, it all seems to be between PlayStation and PC at the minute.
I think it's because Nintendo Switch is still in its very early days, and I know so many people that were put off because of how much they hated the Wii U. So people are starting to come around to it. I reckon this year will be Nintendo's year.
Yeah, like the concept of it, and like we talked about it briefly last week, was the that box game you can get where you can make things out of cardboard and stuff. That's a good concept. If they do stuff like that, then brilliant. I have never been interested in Nintendo, but that sort of kind of got my sort of interest. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I give that a whirl. Got some messages from Rick Ward on Facebook. It is worth getting a Switch purely for Breath of the Wild. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Is it worth getting a Switch for Breath of the Wild?
I was saying it is. Definitely. There's so many great games that are on there. Breath of the Wild was the first game. I bought it, and I put in 70 hours into that game, and that was no messing about. There was no going off doing stupid little things. That was doing the straight story, and I loved every second of it.
Cool. All right. I've never played a Zelda game in my entire life, so I wouldn't.
Wow.
I know that's quite an accolade, I'd say. I've never played. I've only briefly played a Mario game, and like I've said before in other podcasts, I was a Sega boy. I stayed loyal. We lost the war, and I'm bitter about it. So I don't I don't play Nintendo.
What you got to look at is that one of Nintendo Switch's best games was their port of Sonic Mania. That was great to have on the go.
Yeah, well, having Sonic the Hedgehog on the Nintendo machine is like an utter betrayal. For Sega boys like me, who used to send in fan mail to Sega magazines with Sonic holding the severed head of Mario, that's just like the ultimate thing. Like I'm not fucking mental or anything, but me and my brother used to sort of kind of like, they used to get like competitions, and you draw cartoons and stuff and send them in to I can't remember what magazine it was, but it was Sega magazine, and they'd show your art in the magazine. I think you got a t-shirt or something, and I remember me and my brother sitting there drawing Sonic holding like Mario's severed head and being really good at drawing the spinal column and shit. And this was pre Mortal Kombat as well, so
I can imagine. How old are you? This 7 or 8 years old?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow, that is a messed up. But anyway,
that's proper Sega sock jock territory there, isn't it?
Yeah. See, look, you were so stunned, Mark. You couldn't even say that.
Yeah, I just ran out of time.
But there was talking about Sonic on YouTube. I've discovered someone actually uploaded the old Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons, and they have not aged well. But because there was two cartoons at the same time. You had the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was like the very kid-friendly, happy-go-lucky with the two idiotic robots and Dr. Robotnik. And then you had the really adult one where you had like the Robotnik that was like stroking his tash every time he spoke, and Sonic had a weird love interest, and it was just so creepy and so dingy. And then you had Sonic Underground, where Sonic's a musician with his brother and sister we never heard of before and never heard of since.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And
there used to be a cartoon, a Nintendo cartoon, and it was the guy, and he had the light gun, and he had like there was I can't even really. He's on my Facebook. It's going to annoy me. His name's just completely gone. But he cosplayed this at Play Expo, and it's basically he had like the Nintendo controller as like a belt buckle thing, and he had the light gun as a gun, and Game Boy was like his sidekick and stuff. And it's like a cartoon from back in the 80s.
Oh God,
I can't remember what it was called now, but yeah, I used to watch that. Not it was a guilty pleasure. Being Sega boys at times, like can't watch this shit. With 10, we're not liking it.
Yeah, you're not watching it, but you know it off by heart. Just don't ask me any questions.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you know there's been about 6 Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons, 6 different series, and don't get me wrong, I liked a couple of them, but there's a new one based on the more recent games of Sonic Boom, and it's just weird. And after the whole thing. I will be honest, I think the best animated Sonic thing I've seen recently is Uganda Knuckles.
Uganda Knuckles?
Are you telling me you've not heard of Uganda Knuckles?
No, I have not heard of Uganda Knuckles. Oh my God,
you've got to look it up later. Basically, there's loads of people been on this thing called VR chat, and you can obviously make your own avatars. And someone done this one of a Knuckles, which is basically like he looks a bit squashed down. He's got a funny like outward face.
Oh, and, right. I think I've seen
he puts on the accent like going around to people. Goes, "Yeah, do you know the way? I can show you." And, it's so bad, but you've got to watch some of the videos because they are just so bloody funny.
Amazing. Wow. All right, so that's best game then. What about?
I don't think we got Mark's best game, did we?
Oh yeah, we didn't actually. We did. We just walked off one. Mark, best game.
I will admit I've not played that much on the way of new AAA stuff this year. I've been kind of hooked on Elite Dangerous, but the one that I have seen that really grabbed me was Nier Automata, just for the class and style and the way it worked. And
that is currently doing quite well on the Geek Pride. I think it's second to Breath of the Wild. On the thing, so yeah, I've not seen it or played it, so it was a bit of a shock for me. I was like, "What is this game? I don't know." Okay, so best film.
Oh, that's difficult.
Dunkirk for me. Dunkirk for me. Definitely love that film. Absolutely love that film.
So, I don't know. There's places where I just thought the pacing was just wrong.
What? Dunkirk?
I really enjoyed the film. There's just a few little places where it just drew out a bit too much. And a couple of places where it was just a hair too fast for me. I must admit that my most fun and my most enjoyed film last year is probably going to be Thor.
Everybody's going to say Thor.
That's good.
You know what? Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Thor. I thought it was a good romp. But it took the comedy levels. And I have this thing, the recurring theme, as much as I enjoy comedy, when they take it too far and it takes the edge off certain characters which you want to have an edge, it annoys me slightly. And I think with Thor, it literally just threw out any sort of seriousness and just went pure comedy. And as much as it was a laugh and it was a romp, it sort of took the edge off me slightly, and because of that, I wouldn't sort of stick it up as one of my favorite films of the year.
Yeah.
But only just about beat Logan.
Logan was amazing. I loved Logan. If I was to choose a superhero film for the year, Logan would definitely be it. I actually had dust in my eyes coming out of that film. I was like, "Oh, it's really dusty in here."
Of course.
That's a bad excuse. I kind of, for my best film, I kind of have to minus off superhero movies because the superhero movies I think are so good sometimes, and they really do push boundaries. Like Thor, Wonder Woman, Logan, they were 3 great examples. best film for me, I would like to say Star Wars: The Last Jedi, because that was a fantastic movie. It was very well shot for me, and it gave me a lot of what I wanted in a film. But personally, I think the one that I came out of feeling the happiest after watching it the first time was The Disaster Artist, and that is a great comedy. It's actually based on a true story, which makes it even more fun. And just the acting, the direction, just everything about that movie, you couldn't help but love every second of it.
The film that it's based on, I haven't seen it, but I've seen like trailers of it, and it's just like it's so bad. Is it meant to be serious? Is it meant to be?
It was supposed to be made seriously, but in a couple of weeks, the guy who made it, Tommy Wiseau, and one of the stars of the film, Greg Sestero, who actually wrote the book The Disaster Artist that the film was then made on, they're actually coming to the UK to do screenings of the film, and I'm going to the screening and going to meet Mr. Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero afterwards, and I cannot wait. It's going to be
amazing. Absolutely,
it's going to be
amazing.
just so cool. Like to just go up to him, like just say hello, say like, yeah, loved your movie. You're a fantastic guy, and I'm really pushing for an interview with him as well, because I know that it would be probably the single most fun experience of my life. I probably won't understand anything he's talking about, but I know I will love it.
You should do
but
it.
Yeah,
if fanboy.
Definitely you should do it.
I am going to go fanboy over Tommy Wiseau. He's a brilliant guy. And you can tell that this film, he tried to make it serious. In his own opinion, he thought he was making like the Citizen Kane for the new millennium. But what it came out as is just disastrous. And I see, if you get the chance, skip all the stuff that's being said about James Franco now. But if you get a chance, watch The Disaster Artist. Truly, not just one of the best films of last year, but probably the best comedy film for a good few years.
Oh, nice. Daniel P on Facebook says Logan was his favourite of the year, which is it is a good choice. Mark, what about yourself? Or did you go for Ragnarok? Did you go Thor?
I went with Thor, yeah.
Yeah, Thor.
With Logan as a close second.
Yeah, Logan. Okay, so that's best film, best game. Okay, what about sort of like comic books, books in general? What would you go for?
Comic books, I would go for. I think a lot of people gave it a bit of flack, but the Batman Flash one, The Button, which has basically been the precursor to the one that's going on at the moment, the Doomsday Clock, which brings in the Watchmen to the DC universe.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. I haven't read it. So I don't know.
Have you ever read the Flashpoint comic book?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of ties back into that. It gives you a bit of like goes back to that storyline, back to that kind of world, brings it back to the normal world, and it's like, well, hang on, how's this all happened? Why is this all coming around? And it ties in quite nicely, spoiler alert, to Dr. Manhattan.
And his big floppy blue clock.
Yeah. Well, you don't see that in the book, but you probably do in Doomsday Clock. Well, I'm sure that might not be the right title for it, even.
Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
Too much gratuitous penis. Too much gratuitous blue penis, man.
Yeah, no, that's what I'd pick for a comic book. For actual novel, I'd have to really think about that, because I've read some books, but a lot of books I've read have been like from the last few years. I don't think I've really read anything.
Well, the thing is, at the moment, who's winning our thing is definitely not a book that is from this year, but Murder on the Orient Express is currently winning best book. And it's really bizarre, man. It's just like, I thought it might be just not a lot of people have voted, and that's why it's so high up. But no, there's a fair amount of people, so obviously there's quite a lot of sort of
because it's 80 odd years old.
The film's just come out, hasn't it? So obviously the Murder on the Orient Express, the film's just come out, and that's actually quite a good film. I went to see it with my missus, and yeah, that's quite good. I think Kenneth Branagh does quite a good Poirot. I think he's quite good. I have to say, I quite enjoyed Master of Mankind. One of the Horus Heresy books. I thought it was quite good, simply because, if you're into your sort of kind of Warhammer 40,000 or 30,000 as it is for that book, you don't get much about the Emperor, and it's got quite a lot about him. It's got quite a lot about the Custodes and stuff, and yeah, it shows you his inner sort of feelings about sort of like people who don't know anything about Warhammer 40,000, I just don't understand what I'm talking about. But the Emperor of Mankind, as you can see him, you can probably see him in the picture. Yeah, you're basically the God Emperor, awesomely like mighty sort of guy who unifies the world and then goes out on a great crusade after creating super soldiers, blah 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 blah. Anyway, you don't know a lot about him. In this book, it talks a lot about him, about where he came from, effectively. There's lots of dream sequences in it, and it shows you his sort of kind of feelings towards sort of the Primarchs, who are like the progenitors for the different legions, and he just doesn't give a shit about them. He just calls them by their number, and he says, there's a bit in it which I loved, where it says, I think it's I can't even remember the name of the Admech guy who's talking to him, but he says, but they call you father. Why do you let them call you father? Obviously, the Primarchs call him father because he created them, and he says, well, what does a puppet call its master? And, it's just sort of like he has no real sort of, they are a tool. They are a means to an end. Mm. And so, that's it. He doesn't sort of, he calls the custodies, who are meant to be like his best work, by their names, like Diocletian is sort of like one of the main guys, and he calls them by their names. And he seems to have a lot of reverence for them, understanding. Whereas the Primarchs and even the sort of Marines and stuff, it just sort of they are just a blunt tool to be used, instruments to be used. That being said, I can't even tell you because it's a spoiler. It's the very end of the book. There's a bit at the end, and you're just going, "Holy shit! What the fuck? What have you done?" And it's just like the Horus Heresy books in general, if you're into sci-fi sort of fantasy, the Horus Heresy books, there's some not so good ones, but there's some amazing ones, especially the first sort of trilogy and some of the other ones like that. But this one's definitely up there because there's some really grey areas in it, and it's just like, the Emperor himself, who's this monolith of a being, all powerful being, effectively like a god, who doesn't want to be worshipped as a god because he thinks humans need to get past that and move on and stuff. He is a bit of a dick, and it's just like, but he does it in a way that to sort of maybe human sensibilities, where you're doing things, you feel sorry for people, you feel sorry for things, whereas he is literally just thinking about the greater good of humanity as a whole, and therefore certain things like the Webway project and the Golden Throne and sacrificing people because he has to. There's no thought to it. He's like a Manhattan. He's like a Dr. Manhattan sort of character. He sees past the insignificance of humanity, and sort of looks for the greater good as a whole, and I think that comes across quite a lot in the book, and I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, that for me would be it.
Cool.
Cool. Okay, so let's see. So books, tabletop game. What would you go for?
8th edition.
Yeah, I had to say 8th edition as well.
Probably pulled them back from the brink of everyone just rendering them irrelevant, to be honest. Because there were so many people just either getting descended into this toxic fanboy thing where they were just descending into really weird lists and finding their way around little intricate niches and not actually giving a damn about having fun.
Well, that was it. Isn't it? One of the massive issues that 40k has been the abuse and rules lawyers and basically just getting around things. Now, granted, there are still some pretty nasty lists out there, and I asked the question. I was going to do a blog piece about it, and I haven't got around to it yet. But in tournaments, especially, you will find some horrible lists. They're very spammy. They literally are optimized to be the best at the tournament. And to be honest, if you're at a tournament, I suppose you got to expect that. But you have like Reaper spam is a massive thing at the minute. It wins quite a lot of tournaments. Obviously having Mortarion, having Magnus, and having the fucking the flying turkey. All three of them seems to be a big thing at the minute. But the thing is, I think they're kind of they're embracing the community a lot more. Warhammer in a Games Workshop in the Warhammer community, they're embracing a lot more, and they're sort of retroactively, every time new rules come out, they're bringing out facts and they're bringing out new rules to try and balance everything pretty quickly. Whereas beforehand, you were waiting months, even years before facts would come out, and people were just abusing things. Now, granted, when I played 7th edition, I had horrible lists. I had basically Wolfen and Thunderwolf cavalry, and I literally could charge across the board in turn 1, fuck everything up, and that was it. It was game over and stuff. Just the only thing I lost against in it was supremacy armor. Tau supremacy armor, which was completely undercosted for what it did. But it was very open to abuse, and I think they're trying the new simplified rules, which in certain ways you're kind of going, well, wait a minute, I'm behind this, but surely I should get cover. No, I can see you don't get cover. That's just the way it is, unless you're you're within cover, or you're a vehicle and you got 50% obscured. But the fact that there's no sort of arguments, there's no loads of rules to sort of make things murky, it works for me. Things are just dead. That's it. Unfortunately, you're dead, and you got to think.
But I found the worst thing is that sometimes you find yourself looking for the complications because you spent so long having to find them and try and work around it, that the very fact that it is so simple and cut and dry, it actually screws you up.
Yeah, it does. It's true. There's been so many times where I've just been like, wait a minute, there has to be more to this than there is. No, there's not. That's just the way it is. And it's I find myself sort of kind of questioning, so I'll be sitting there and I'll be playing, and I'll roll some dice and I'll go, yeah, but you have to do this, and they're like, no, I don't. And I was like, but, oh shit, that was 7th edition, or that was 6th edition. And I'm just like, oh shit, yeah, all right, okay, cool, fire away. And you have to catch yourself on sometimes. So
I had it on Saturday. I was playing against a friend at the club that he was playing a mech heavy infantry list, or mech heavy Imperial Guard list. And it was like, what do I do when I'm in what do I do to move into and out of cover? I said, to be honest, it's not written down, so I guess we just go with
you move in and out of cover. There's no move through cover anymore. It's literally just move in and out. And it's so bad. I just had my last game, I had like half AdMech, half Space Wolf Army, and I got completely locked in combat by tanks out of everything. In the old edition, you could just walk away because there were tanks, but they can lock you in combat now. So I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck? So I was sitting there and I couldn't shoot anything. He just got up he locked me in combat with these fucking flamer tanks, and I was just like, oh shit, I can't do anything. And he wiped the floor with me because I wasn't expecting it. I had it in my head still that I couldn't get locked in. I could just walk out. But if you walk out, it's called fall back, and if you fall back, you can't shoot. And it's just like, oh shit, it completely boned me. I was just like, grim.
Mind you, talking about tanks, have you tried out the Redemptor yet? The new Dreadnought?
I have a Redemptor. I have a wolfed up Redemptor with like banners and things like that, and I use it. I'm not using it this time round, but I've used it in the last 4 games I've played. It's all right. It's tough. It's got a lot. I use the onslaught Gatling cannons and stuff, and it's quite sort of it's quite daka, but I'm tempted to use a repulsor next time round, just because you can get so many shots out of that thing. If you get close range, you can get like 2, 4, 6, 7, like 9, 10 sort of frag launchers, and D6 each time, and there's a lot of shots. And currently, we'll move on for the 40k thing, because a lot of people are probably going, what the fuck are you guys talking about? But this next one I've got in February, I'm going to use some Primaris for the first time. I'm going to use some Aggressors, and they have that thing, if they stand still, they double shots. So you're basically getting you're getting D6 shots and 6 shots, and you're getting double that if they stand still. Like, I'm going to have 6 of these guys. The new Space Wolf stratagem is a deployment, it's not a movement phase. So basically they can come in from outflank, not have moved, double shots. Like, so you're basically gonna have 6 guys. That's 6 guys shooting 6 double shots and stuff. There's a lot of shots going to be coming out. I think I worked it out that each squad of 3 would be putting out potentially anywhere between like 150 shots or something like that. So, it's only strength 4, no AP, but still, it's quite a lot of shots. So.
Yeah, I mean, I picked up the easy assemble ones, both the Redemptor and the Aggressors.
Yeah.
And the Aggressors, because they're the flamer ones, I didn't find so great, but I was having to advance, so that lost some of their utility. But the Redemptor, oh man, he walked up, he goes striding across the field, shrugging off everything he can fire at him with all these tanks. Walks up to the first tank, locks it in close combat, one-shots it with the Redemptor Fist.
Yeah.
It was something. What was it? It was something like 15 wounds out of one round of combat.
Wow!
In the first shot, straight through the armor, and the only thing he didn't roll was the kaboom. So he didn't even manage to get that kind of.
That's the one thing that sort of annoys me is things don't blow up as much these days in 40k. It's like the odd occasion where things will blow up, and when they do and it kills things, it's hilarious. Like there's a guy who I play quite a lot, nice guy called Andy Foot, and he did a bit of a dick move on me. He basically surrounded my flyer with his infantry, so when he blew it up, my infantry couldn't disembark, so I had to leave. They basically got taken off board, and I was like, "Oh man, what the fuck have you done?" Right? But the dice gods were on my side, and he rolled when it blew up. I rolled a 6, and it wiped out literally a massive chunk, all of his devastators, everything just gone. And I was like, "That's what you get, man." It's like, I'm never gonna do that again. I've learnt my lesson. And I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker, don't do that again." Yeah.
Oh Jesus, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah. That's the second time that's happened to me as well, where there's basically somebody surrounded one of my flyers and did not. I was just like, oh, come on, man. That's a fucking dick move. But there you go. If you're in a tournament, you're in a tournament. Okay, so we'll move forward because, again, a lot of people are just going, I don't know what these guys are talking about. Best game. I think that's probably it. We'll not go into the indies and stuff like that. I have to say, cosplayers wise, best cosplayers was currently Maul cosplay, who's a male cosplayer. Secondary was Jessica Negri, and third was Kamui cosplay. The fact that you've got a male so high up in the rankings and doing so well is amazing. Now, because it's really weird, because obviously, there's at this moment in time, especially around the 100th anniversary of women getting the vote and stuff, there's a big thing, equal rights and how, and that's brilliant, But when it comes to cosplay, for some reason, it's flipped on the other side. There's women definitely have the superiority and the power in cosplay, and men get completely shunned, and it's just good to see a guy who's sort of, who's really good at making costumes, being so high up in the rankings for once. It's just sort of, not to diminish any. Kamui cosplay is definitely one of my favorites because she's just amazing at making, and of course Jessica Negri is the legend, but it's just good to see a dude up there at the top, basically. So yeah. All right, okay, so we're going for about an hour. I was going to talk about something else, but it has completely slipped my mind. Yes, not Black Flash, Black Lightning.
Yep, Black Lightning.
Have you seen it? Did you watch it?
Yes.
I watched the first episode.
I've watched the first 2.
Has it been on? Has the second episode been on Netflix? Or you?
It's been on in America.
Right. Okay. All right.
I don't know. I don't think the second one's been on Netflix yet.
I watched the other one.
Missed it.
I watched the other one just the other day. The first one the other day. So views.
I'm enjoying it, really.
It's good.
Just good.
I mean, it's from the same team as usual, so it has a lot of the high and the low points that you would normally pick.
It's better than some, but to me, out of all the DC ones, of all the current DC ones, I still think Flash is top one.
Yeah, I have to say the Flash is sort of at the start. I kind of liked the Arrow was my best, sort of my favorite.
Oh, Arrow was brilliant to begin with, yeah. But the problem with Arrow is I feel that when you get the ensemble ones now, when they bring them all together for the crossovers, he does get some good parts to it, and he is given some great storylines.
Yeah.
Then when you go back to Arrow, it just seems to be all teen melodrama all the way through with him, and it's like I love Felicity, but I can't be with Felicity. I am the Arrow, but I can't be the Arrow. I'm going to be mayor of this city, but I can't protect you all. I love my friends, but you've all got to fuck off. It doesn't make any sense. Just stick to one character trait. Stop changing it over and over. And don't get me wrong, there is still some good storylines. In the most recent one, he got his close friend and bodyguard, John Diggle, to actually be the Green Arrow for a short while. And that was quite a good twist. I did enjoy that. But there's just too much about this show, it's just gotten so stale. And it's because it repeats the same formula over and over. The Flash has done it different this year because they've no longer got a speedster as the main villain this year. They've got someone who's got a fantastic mind. And if you've seen the mid-season finale that was on just before Christmas, it was so well done. And I was taken actually by shock on that. I did not see that end coming.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I quite like the crossovers they do. They do some really good crossovers. You know, I'm not a massive fan of the Supergirl series at all. I just can't watch it. Every time I do, I'm just not enjoying this. But I enjoy it when she's obviously within the broader group. And they actually said that the Black Lightning, they might actually be able to cross him into it because he's
another one of the Earths, isn't he? They've kept him separate in that regard. In the same way as they pulled Supergirl across when she came across onto the CW from ABC. Was it from ABC or NBC?
I think it might have been CBS.
CBS, whatever. But when they brought her across, because they had the option of doing it, I suspect that's what we'll probably see sort of later on in the series. But with the Crisis on Earth X, that was originally supposed to be a TV movie, wasn't it? Or they were considering it as a TV movie.
Ah, right, okay.
But as a 4-part event, that was brilliant. And talking about the DC CW shows that are coming up, Legends of Tomorrow, I still consider that my least favourite out of all the superhero ones. But they have got John frickin' Constantine for a couple of episodes.
And they're bringing back Flash.
And this is what I want. I want them to cancel Legends of Tomorrow, bring back Constantine. It's a no-brainer.
Richard Ward says that Legends by all rights should be terrible, but I can't help watching it or enjoying it, and it's true.
There is a good episode.
It's just like I'm a history buff, and I fucking hate it because it bastardizes history, but I can't help but watching it. It's just one of those things. It's cheesy. It's kitsch. It's just
it just shouldn't work, but it doesn't take itself so seriously that you can hate it because you know that out the corner of its eyes, you're going, yeah, I know it should be really shit, but it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah,
there is some fun episodes. I mean, there was the one where George Lucas almost didn't make Star Wars, so that was quite fun. And then was it the first episode of Series 3? You actually have was it Caesar walking around on a beach in Aruba? It's just fun. It's just crazy. And then you've got
getting knocked out by Mick.
Oh, that was great. And then, but what I find about Legends is that, don't get me wrong, it's a good concept. Taking all the characters that you wouldn't normally see, take a front and center of the other shows. They were given their chance, and all right, the cast is pretty good, but it's that some of them are very one note. And I'm gonna pick a hole in one of my favorite actors now, Wentworth Miller. When he was first Captain Cold, he was bloody good, and he was probably the best villain in The Flash. Then they put him on Legends, and it's like there's no change to his character, there's no change to his attitude. He's such a one note, and he always talks like this.
Yeah,
I've had enough of you all. I don't want to be a good guy. It's like he's such a great actor. And then when they brought him back in the Crisis on Earth X as Citizen Cold, he's still similar, but he actually has a change. He actually does feel like a better character for
it. They make him gay, don't they? They make him gay.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. With Russell
Tovey. Outrageously so, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. He just totally went for it.
Oh, but it was fun. He's fun as that though. I do think that was his strength by changing the character and keeping him. In the essence, he's still the same person. And what was it? His nickname for Mick? What he used to call him in on his Earth? Oh no, it used to make me laugh. Whatever the name was. It's really bugging me now because because in the first episode of Legends after the crossover, obviously you get to explore a bit about Citizen Cold. He says about how his version of Mick, they used to be good friends for so many years. They used to help protect their Earth, and then he passed away. And he said about how much he just wanted to just try and, even if it wasn't the same one, he just wanted to be with someone, like be around someone like that, just to try and somehow relive that time. It's like, how many shows would you think for a character that you're not supposed to like at all, character that's supposed to be pure evil at one point, and now you're like, oh my god, I actually feel bad for him. I actually want him to, get a bit of happiness, try and rediscover this with a friend from another world.
Yeah,
it's sad, but that made me think, Legends, you bastards! I shouldn't like you, but I'm now starting to like this. And then they finished that episode with John Constantine. It's like, yes, come on, bring it on, bring on 2018. It's going to be awesome.
Anyway, back to Black Lightning. Back to Black Lightning.
Yeah. Black Flash.
Yeah, Black Flash. Black Lightning. So I kind of got, now I could, I kind of got a Luke Cage sort of vibe out of it in the whole sort of the way it was sort of done. Apparently the guy, they did the same, he did stuff for Marvel and DC, but
yeah, he actually worked on Cage before he worked on Black Lightning.
Yeah, I got that impression. Acting wise, and I could feel that because you got the same sort of vibe with the music and the sort of the cultural references and stuff. It felt a bit like a blaxploitation sort of film in a way.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is the idea that they've gone for, that they want to explore this side of the world, explore this side of the comic book use. And when you look at the other DC shows, there hasn't really been a black fronted DC TV show since Static Shock, and that was an animated show as well.
We got Black Panther coming out, obviously.
I can't wait.
Looks really good. But yeah, first episode didn't blow me away. Good concept. We'll just have to see what happens and stuff. I thought the acting was slightly rigid in certain parts and stuff, and it was just sort of a bit forced in a way.
But that's kind of the risk you take with any sort of pilot, isn't it? Is that they don't really know the characters well enough sometimes, and they can come across quite rigid.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they just take the mickey a little bit, and you look back later and you're like, seriously, they did that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see we'll give it a whirl. So far, so good. Yeah. Definitely sort of, not bad. Just I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet in my sort of kind of, CW, DC sort of rankings and stuff. I think currently it's Flash, Green Arrow, Legends, and then obviously Supergirl, which I don't really watch anymore because I gave the first series a go and just couldn't hack it anymore and just went, I'm not going to bother anymore. So
there is, with these shows, we've got to remember this is CW. CW is famous for a very teen-centric demographic, and so a lot of it is going to be about relationships, love, tantrums and fights within family. So that's one thing you always got to remember. This is the same channel that gives you Beverly Hills 90210 and gives you like Vampire Diaries. That's the one thing you got to remember. It also brings out all that stuff. But the CW has to be proud of this, because these comic book shows altogether equate to over 200 episodes over the last 5.5 years. And that is a fantastic achievement. But 15 crossovers as well in the middle of them. I mean, that to me is a super success. And if the DC movie universe could even get just 10% of that right, they would be onto a winner.
Yeah. I'm just really upset. DC, I don't know, we'll see with
Aquaman end of the year.
Aquaman, yeah. They might pull it back a bit. I'm still sort of hoping that Ben Affleck doesn't leave. I know he wants to and stuff, but I love him as Batman.
I don't want him to go.
I think he's an amazing Batman. I just think he's had a bad hand dealt to him, basically.
He picked a bad time to come in, really, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
It's all been kind of screwed around a lot.
Yeah.
And there's not been any way to anyone to really pay attention to what he's doing. He's always been caught out in context to all the drama around the films, which is never fun for anyone, I would have thought, in that position.
Yeah. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Maybe he'll sort of kind of change his mind, but we'll
I'm
see.
sure the paycheck helps make him feel better though. At the end, of it.
Yeah, I'll cry myself
Well,
to sleep in my bed of millions.
Well, there is some news on Ben Affleck's Batman because they are saying, depending on what way you look at it, they're saying that he's going to be in one more DC film and then they're going to recast him. Then there's others that are saying that he's going to be in multiple movies. You've got Suicide Squad 2, which is apparently due out near the end of next year. He is set to appear in that, but probably to the same amount as he was in the first Suicide Squad film.
Actually appear, or just we're going to see the body.
Well, he does actually appear in Suicide Squad. He's only equates to about a minute, but
yeah,
he is actually there. But this is what I want to see. Because they're doing the Flashpoint movie. They're going to bring that in apparently in 2020, and Batman has got a massive part to play on both sides of that. And if they do Flashpoint well, if they actually do it as they should, then Jeffrey Dean Morgan will be playing the Batman from Flashpoint. That's all. That's all you need.
That'll be
That's
amazing.
all you need. And then we've got this apparent Batman movie, which I don't know what the hell's happening to it now because Ben Affleck was going to direct it. He's no longer directing it. Matt Reeves, the man who made the second and third Planet of the Apes films from this millennium, two brilliant movies, I have to say. But he seems to be very contradictory on a lot of the things he's saying because he seems to be hinting that these films will, like the Batman film, will not be part of the DC Extended Universe. Then said it will be. They said that they might be looking for another actor to be Batman, but he's saying that Ben Affleck will be Batman. The DC Universe is too messed up. There's too many things. I think they just want to try and do catch up with Marvel so badly, and it's not working.
They're like chasing.
They need to lay the groundwork.
They're chasing their losses. Basically, they've had a gamble. It's failed, and they're now trying to putting more money after it to try and chase it. They should have done. Marvel basically came out of nowhere. In their defense, they literally just went, we're going to do a movie and we're going to do it slowly, and they built it up, and they built up the universe, and they built up the expectation, and unfortunately DC got in way too late. Went, shit, no, they were sitting there on the back of the Dark Knights and kind of going, we don't need to fucking do this shit, and then that all ended and they kind of went, shit, what do we do next? And then they sort of kind of, by which time Marvel had kind of gone, see ya fuckers, and then sort of moved on.
In their fairness, I think DC really wanted to tie in the DCU to a bit earlier. They really wanted to have the Dark Knight trilogy as part of the DC Extended Universe. And I mean, if it's true, and I believe it is, apparently Christian Bale would have been paid nearly 10 times more money than what Ben Affleck got for playing Batman in Batman v Superman.
I'm kind of glad. I like Ben Affleck. I think I prefer Ben Affleck as Batman over I love the new Batman films, but I think I preferred Ben Affleck as Batman. I just think he was a bit more brutal, a bit more raw. It was like the Arkham games. I love that scene in the warehouse, and that's
fucking amazing.
That's what
Absolutely
Batman
amazing.
should be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I agree. Rick Ward says, "Is Leto still going to be the Joker?"
Yes,
I quite liked his version.
He has apparently been cast again for Suicide Squad 2, as has Will Smith, Margot Robbie, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet, but El Diablo, played by Jay Hernandez, he got killed in the first film, but apparently he's going to appear in the sequel if the rumours and Instagram pictures are to be believed.
Oh, cool. Good. Cool. I enjoyed Suicide Squad. It was a bit of a romp.
I did. It was fun.
Yeah.
It
wasn't trying to be anything more than a lot of fun with some mildly dodgy things in places to say we're trying to be adult, but we're kind of just nodding and winking lots.
Yeah.
And I still love Jai Courtney in that as Captain Boomerang. I think he should have got more screen time, but he, for me, was one of the best characters in that movie.
Yeah.
I just couldn't warm to Leto, though, I must admit.
He was all right. What I find about Jared Leto is so many people are going, oh, he's not going to be like Heath Ledger. No, he didn't try to be like Heath Ledger. But if he had the right amount of screen time, I think if he'd had another 15, 20 minutes on screen, he'd had more time to flesh his character out. If he was actually the main villain of Suicide Squad, that would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I think, but
It's
he has to be
possible, yeah.
he has to be a Batman villain, doesn't he? Really, you can't have him as the Suicide Squad villain. He needs to be sort of,
Yeah.
you know, he needs to be Batman's villain. What was I going to say? Oh fuck me, my mind's completely gone, man. I just I have no idea. Getting old.
Well,
and tired.
if Suicide Squad 2 is gonna have some more Batman, I reckon it should be based on the Assault on Arkham film that came out a few years ago, the animated film, which is
that was quite
in
fun.
itself based around the Arkham video game series, and that animated film was bloody good.
Yeah. Okay, right. So we're going to leave it there now. A shorter one for once, because we started off trying to do podcasts for an hour, and then we started, people were talking loads, and it was going on for an hour and a half, verging on 2 hours. So we'll keep it here because I'm making a cosplay costume at this moment in time. My second armor piece. I should be painting models for my tournament next month, but it's a Green Arrow costume, but it's a Green Arrow armored costume, and now Green Arrow doesn't have armor.
Ooh.
But I'm making armor, so I'm using templates from like Stormtrooper armor and stuff. I'm trying to make, so I've got a bow, and I've got sort of arrows, and I've got sort of like I've got some templates from, I think it's Heshi, or he's from Overwatch, the guy, the bow and arrow from Overwatch. Can't remember his name. Again, bad memory, but I've got some templates from his anniversary armor and some other bits. So I'm mashing some stuff together to get sort of a Green Arrow armored thing, because I just thought, fuck it, why not do that? So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And might actually watch some Louis Theroux while I'm doing that and stuff at the minute. So I'm going through Netflix and watching some Louis Theroux. So yeah. Okay, so we'll leave it there. Thanks very much to everybody who was commenting, and obviously who's watching us live. Rick, Daniel P. Daniel P, you need to send us an audio message of your fucking name, how you pronounce it properly, and we'll get it right next time. Thanks everybody for watching. Again, we're on Google Play, we're on iTunes, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Facebook. This podcast should be up for download next week, and then hopefully we'll have another one next week. Maybe with Julieta actually being able to talk next time. Might actually let her host it, just because as a bit of an apology for not letting her talk last time. But anyway, I've been Matt Geary. John Joe has been John Joe.
I certainly have.
And Mark Canty has been Mark Canty.
Yep, pretty much.
Thanks a lot, guys, and good night all.
Night.